And welcome back. We sure hope that you are enjoying the show. If you are, why don't you let us know through our social media platforms at K24 TV on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. Karibu sana if you just joined us. My name is Shiko Kaitani and let's chat for a bit, shall we? Now, cases of sexual harassment in the workplace are said to be on the rise. One of the possible reasons is that workers are not sure where to draw the line between casual employee relationships and what is sexual harassment. Well, it does happen to both men and women. However, women tend to be more vulnerable in such cases. And so today, as we get talking, we actually want to know, or at least understand the definition of what is considered sexual harassment. How do you identify it and actually deal with it, especially if it is coming from a high-ranking employee? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about today for the next 1 hour. Go ahead and weigh in and, of course, give your contribution to this ongoing discussion through those social media platforms and, of course, the numbers that are going to be at the bottom of your screen. We've got a question for you this morning, and what we want to ask you is, what do you consider as sexual harassment in the workplace? What do you consider as sexual harassment in the workplace? As you get talking to us, allow me to introduce my panel this morning. We're so glad to have Lucy Mutungi, who's seated right next to me, HR consultant, not new to the show. Welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Good to see you. Smack at the center is Angelina Sikanda, who is the Program Development Manager at the Center for Rights, Education and Awareness. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
And then last but not least, we've got Naomi Muliro, who is an advocate here with us this morning. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Okay, so ladies, I'm going to start off with you, Naomi, and even for you, Angelina, you can probably just weigh in on this in terms of actually defining what sexual harassment is. A lot of people just assume it's just someone asking me for sex. That's it.
Yeah.
And sorry to put it so bluntly, but, you know, define it for us.
Okay, the sexual harassment is defined in the Employment Act in Section 6 as advancements made by an employer, a co-worker, or a representative of the employer, which is done indirectly or directly. This person asks you for sexual intercourse or sexual activity or contact. Yes.
Okay.
And, okay.
All right. Why don't you add on to that, Angelina?
Well, maybe just to add that the sexual harassment is just unwanted sexual advances. You know, you're not consented to it, and someone makes advantage, will take advantage of their position, especially at the employment, and using their position, then they are able to demand or ask for sexual favors or acts that would you know, presuppose a sexual act of some form. And so because of the difference in power relations, then use your position to make such kind of remarks. So and mostly it's unwanted. You're not consented to them in any way.
What do you think, in your opinion, is the issue here between the casual relationships that we have today in the office and what is actually sexual harassment? Because what do we see today?
Well, there is what we call casual relations between people who are two consenting adults who have a relationship. Where you're friends, you meet your friends in public, you hug. Some people kiss on the cheek. Some people will touch, you know, hold hands. That means they have a relationship, they've known each other for some time, and they've consented to that kind of
interaction.
Contact. But when it comes to sexual harassment, what you're saying is that you said no. The people you'd go to, for example, to shake their hand, and they'll tell you no, they're happy to wave. You don't want to hold their hand or hug them, they tell you, I don't hug. We don't have a relationship. And so respecting that space is what draws the line to say this is harassment, because I'm not consented to whatever interaction you're trying to.
So the key word is consent. Lucy, as a HR practitioner, and of course you having been in a number of organizations, do you actually feel that sometimes as employees we can be more or less unprofessional in the way we interact? And this is very common in the Kenyan office setting, so to speak.
Most of us are lacking in that professionalism when it comes to the workspace, because we allow sometimes our personal lives to filter into the office. So in as much as you'll find employees are friends outside, when they come to the office, they forget that they're supposed to be colleagues. So they can't draw a line. They come and, you know, guys are high-fiving and hugging. And I mean, there's some people that create such an uncomfortable situation for them, because then they're very professional. So you'll find that people don't know where to draw the line, and that's where the HR should come in and do continuous training on how people should conduct themselves in the workspace.
Because I don't think, okay, I don't know if I'm right, but given what I have seen outside and how we interact here, it's totally different. It is unlikely that you'll find people hugging, kissing. So even if it's consensual, it's like, is that appropriate for the workplace? You know, that's the big question. So what does the law say now in regards to sexual harassment, Naomi?
As she had stated earlier, it is an unwelcome advance made by somebody. And the law stipulates some of the instances. One of them is if you're sending somebody visual messages or, that is sexual harassment. And they're not consenting to you sending such things. If you are touching somebody without their consent. There are people who are just a bit touchy. That is also outlined as sexual harassment. There's also an instance where you make advances to someone and you tell them that if you do this, you'll get a promotion. That is sexual harassment. If you don't do this, you will get demoted. Or your job, the future of your career here is so those are the instances that the law says it's sexual harassment. All
right, so yet again we have our question of the day to you, and we're asking you to actually weigh in, contribute to this discussion. It is quite a topic, if you ask me, especially because it's so relatable to many of us who actually go to work every single day. What do you consider as sexual harassment in the workplace? Is it the hugging? Is it the touching, the kissing? Because everybody has a different opinion and perspective of what sexual harassment could be. To you, what does it actually mean? What do you consider as sexual harassment in the workplace? Yet again, our social media platforms are live and active at K24 TV, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And of course, our lines are going to be open. If you prefer to call, why don't you? We'd love to hear from you this morning. Angelina, let's talk a little bit about what we commonly see now on the ground, especially in regards to sexual harassment. Who's being targeted? Who are the easy targets in this particular case?
Well, good question. What you've seen and what data tells us, majority of women were targeted. And often it also takes the forms which are not described in law. It includes things like groping, where somebody will come and just grope you. Someone will come and lick your face. Someone will come forth and, you know, touch you inappropriately, and make overtures or signs, or will send you, will keep texting through the social media platforms, or will share sexual pictures, or even call you. Now, these are not defined in our current context of the law, and then that now gives us a challenge in terms of what are the other measures that we can take. But within the workplace, institutions are required to be able to put in measures to address issues of sexual harassment, including having very specific policies around sexual harassment. Unfortunately, not all employers have done that. And so you'll find that many people are still grappling with the issues. Many of our, companies, many of our institutions are grappling with it because they don't know how to address it. And therefore, you're not clear on who do you report to about such an incident. Will you be believed if you told somebody that so-and-so did this to me?
I know, it's quite unfortunate. And I think this is even now where HR does come in. Because what you actually see is that obviously she said that it is the women, but is it the lower ranking women mostly who obviously are the targets in this case, Lucy? And from a HR perspective, when people actually come in, should you ideally be speaking to those who are especially on entry-level jobs, telling them the realities of the workplace and what you should do? Because if you have an intern, and I say it's always interns mostly from my observation that are always targeted. to begin with. Yeah,
that's true. I remember, I don't know if it was early this year or late last year, though someone posted on Twitter how they had been sexually harassed at the workplace, and it had really affected them to the point of they couldn't come out of their house for 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah. So what normally happens, you'll find that, yes, it's the lower cadre people who are being harassed, but you'll find even executives, because, you know, then again, we don't have very many women in leadership positions. So you'll find, like, in many boardrooms, maybe you'll find 1 or 2 women. Even then, they go through their own challenges. It's just that people have not come out and, you know, spoken about it.
Right.
But you'll find mostly, yes, interns, especially even in hospitality industry, like the waitresses, the waiting staff, in male-dominated fields.
Yes.
These days we are finding women also working in construction.
Yes.
But the things that they go through there are unspeakable. So, yes.
Yeah.
What should happen is once they come on board, the HR is actually supposed to provide guidance.
Right.
That, okay, this, I get to understand that this situations work, and this is your avenue in case such a thing happens to you. This is what you can do.
Right.
Yes. So that people know they have somewhere they can go to. You know, the other thing, she said people don't like to come forward because 1, they won't be believed. 2, they don't know how to go about it. And 3, most of the time, there's no evidence. You know, it's like hearsay.
It's true. Yeah. It's true. And we're actually going to get into that in terms of how do I go about reporting in just a few. Naomi, throwing this back to you, because I think why some people take this so casually is because they don't really understand the repercussions. And it's because, you know, we understand what happens in the case of murder. We understand what happens in the case of rape. But we never hear about what the punishment would be for someone who's sexually harassing someone and is found guilty of that. I mean, before you answer that, I understand we've got Joshua from Kirinyaga on the line. Thank you, Naomi. Please hold that thought. Good morning, Joshua. Good morning, Joshua. Hello. All right. It seems like we've lost him. Yes, Naomi, go ahead.
Most people are not aware that there's the Sexual Offences Act. It's the act that provides for offences such as sexual harassment. And Section 23 provides for sexual harassment. And when one is found guilty and convicted, he can serve 3 years imprisonment or to pay a fine of 100,000 or to be subjected to both. But most people are not aware of this. They feel like if I'm sexually harassed, I'll only go to the HR, then the matter will be dealt with internally.
But you can actually take it forward.
Yes.
Yes. So in such a case, is it the company that I would actually be going after or the individual?
In such a case, you go for the individual.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So something as simple as you sending pictures, the way you said images, could actually land you in jail for 3 years.
For 3 years.
Okay.
Yes.
Joshua is back. Alipotea kidogo, but I understand he's on the line. Joshua, good morning.
Morning, Siko.
Ni nini unatukatia simu?
Sijui labda ni makosa ya mitandao.
Okay.
A very interesting discussion this morning.
Yeah.
Number one, I don't think there's anything I consider sexual harassment to me. Because if I don't like it, I'll just ignore it.
Yeah.
That's number one. Number two, I find there is a very thin line between what we call sexual harassment and an intent or a means to an end. Because I've worked in 5 companies in my lifetime.
Yeah.
And you realize that when it doesn't work for men or women in terms of how the advances are made, that's when it now becomes sexual harassment. When it serves the purpose, like what we call horizontal people rising through the ranks horizontally, then it becomes a means. But more importantly, when I'm in the office and people are around hugging, kissing and touching each other and probably flirting, I think to me, it doesn't really bother me. So long as people are not having sex on my desk, I continue with my job.
What?
Yes, because that's how I see it. I think the whole topic on harassment is overrated.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Joshua. Kenyanya is also on the line. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, go ahead. Do you have a question or a comment?
Yes, I have a comment to make.
Okay. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, now my case is a little bit tricky. I don't know if you are really realistic on this issue on workplace or also at home.
Go ahead.
Because the other day, I had a quarrel with my wife concerning the topics we are discussing now on TV. I had to use some risk of force on her, which ended to a big issue which I never expected.
Okay, Kenyan, I'm going to ask you to speak up, please, so that we can hear you better.
You are not getting me?
Yes, speak up, speak up.
You see? Hello?
Yes,
You are getting me?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead. Okay, it seems like Kenyana's line seems to have an issue, but hopefully we'll be able to get him back on the line. Angelina, let me speak to you a little bit about this point that I want to bring up next. And this is in regards to men's perspective on sexual harassment. You've just heard what Joshua was saying, right? That it's no big deal, especially, by the way, if, okay, as long as, you know, no one is getting offended here, whatever, big deal, it doesn't matter whatever's happening in the office. That's number one. But majority of the men that I actually spoke to while researching for this particular discussion said that there's no such thing as a man being sexually harassed. In fact, if I am a lower ranking employee and my boss is hitting on me and it's a means to get a promotion, whatever, especially if she is good looking, it works perfectly. It works perfectly for me. He's like, what's the big deal about that? As you're thinking about that, we do have Shege on the line. Good morning, Shege.
Yes, good morning, K24.
Yes, yes, good morning.
How are you?
Good, good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm also good.
Okay, yes, tell us.
Yes, you're speaking to Chege from Murang'a in a place known as Kegumo.
Okay.
Yes, na nimeona mko na topic mzuri sana.
Asante.
Yeah, na ningependa kwanza nisalimia hao wenye tulitembelea leo. Na ningependa kuuliza swali.
Yes.
Because nowadays tuko na shida kabisa kweli.
Okay.
Unapata msichana sijui kama tunaita bado sexual harassment kwa kazi juu. Mtu ameenda kutafuta kazi.
Yes.
Na mwenye amesimamia huko ni mzee. So unapata huyu mzee qualifications zenye anataka kwa huyu msichana hataki ati kama angalia certificate za shule ama nini, anaangalia urembo na anataka kumtumia ati ndiye apate kazi. So mimi ningependa kuuliza tunatakiwa kufanya nini kama wasichana wanatakiwa kufanya nini?
Yeah, asante sana, very good question there. Okay, sasa Shege, asante sana for that. Abraham is also on the line. Good morning, Abraham. Hello, Abraham.
Yes.
Okay, yes. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Yes, question or comment?
Yeah, I wanted to comment about these discussions that you are having.
Okay, go ahead.
About sexual harassment in the in the place of work. Yeah, what I can say is that
yeah,
ladies, they're the one who attract this issue to them. But this is my opinion.
Yeah.
Because the kind of the mode of dressing, the way they put, the way they dress in the place of work, you find that they attract men to come harass them. Because you find that breasts are outside.
Okay.
The kind of dress that you are dressing is being cut. Or your legs are outside. So sometimes you find that even men they get attracted to sex when by seeing.
And so you can't help it. That's what you're saying.
No, I'm saying that they can help, but there are some men who can't help it, who cannot control themselves.
Okay, thank you, Abraham. I knew this angle would actually come up. So we did try to get a number of gentlemen to actually come in, even a gentleman to come sit on this set. But even the idea of sitting on this set to say, by the way, I was sexually harassed, or I believe that men can be sexually harassed, was just unthinkable for a lot of men. And they said, mwanaume hawezi kuja kwa set aongea maneno kama hiyo. So here we are, ladies, speaking up. Wow. Angela, take it away.
Okay, first and foremost, men do get sexually harassed.
Yeah.
That's a reality. Secondly, there is no blanket form of sexual harassment. The experience must be taken in the context that it happens. So you cannot say that because you haven't experienced this, then you don't believe it happens.
Yeah.
It matters to every single survivor who's gone through such experiences.
Right.
People are in relationships and they're committed to their partners, or not committed to anybody for that matter.
Yeah.
And so if you're seeking employment, you're not seeking employment so that you can be harassed or someone to demand certain sexual favors in order for you to get that employment. You're going there on the merit of your academics, you're going there on the merit of experience, and the opportunity, and that when you assess yourself, you see that you're fit to do the work presented. And therefore, it's actually not right for Joshua to claim, but we understand where he's coming from. A lot of people do not understand it. One, they've never experienced it.
Yeah.
Two, you've never been in that situation whereby a lot was demanded, then you can give.
Yeah.
And it's not part of what was required.
Yeah.
When you're doing a job advert, I don't think there's anywhere else you can come and you need to provide XYZ.
Yes,
in order
get
for you
ready
to get this
to
job.
make out with the boss
if
before
anything,
you get the
what
job.
you see most often is to say female candidates are encouraged to apply. And so people are always asking, why female?
Yeah.
What is the issue? But we understand in the context where we are, particularly in our own context in Kenya, we have less women in certain positions, and therefore hence the request to have more female candidates to seek employment. That's one. Two, the line, as I said earlier, is around consent. All right? Whatever it is, yes, you'll be in spaces where people will hug, and you can be in spaces where people will even kiss each other, whatever. But did you ask for it? If you've not consented to it, then by all means, there's no violation.
Yes.
Okay?
Okay.
I'm not, if you've not consented and it happens, there is a violation.
Yeah.
That is the difference.
Okay.
But if you've allowed and accepted it to happen, then that's when you say it's consensual as you're adults.
Lucy, before I rope you in, Naomi, I think this is very strange, or it would probably be bizarre to so many people to actually see a man going to court, taking his female or whoever, boss to court for sexual harassment. Have you come across cases where men are actually suing an individual for sexual harassment, or have you heard of?
No.
No.
Most men are of the view that they have not been harassed. They don't really know what is sexual harassment. It's unfortunate to say this, but they feel like they like being pursued.
Right. They love it. They enjoy it.
So they don't consider such advances as sexual harassment.
Yeah. You see, that's what I said, because I'm telling you, I think I probably spoke to about 20 guys, and they were like, kwanza, if my boss, and the way she's hot, if in fact she was to ask me out, see you inaweza kuwa poa. You're thinking what? So it is not an issue
for most men.
It's
not
how they're socialized. It's how they're socialized. Yes. Lucy, in your opinion, is dress code really what is instigating a lot of this, and especially you coming from a feminist organization?
Of course not.
What do you think of Abraham's call, who was like, it's the way you ladies are dressing, this is why you're encouraging to be sexually harassed?
Your dressing has nothing to do with you being sexually harassed. I mean, if you've come to do a certain role, you're not coming to check out how people are dressing or how they're going to make you feel. Because let's be real. We work in very different industries. Of course, we have the conservative industries. We have the relaxed industries.
Right.
We have the creatives who, go all out. So you can't say it's because of the way women dress. No. That is completely wrong. Yes. It's like saying someone was raped because of how they were dressed.
Okay.
It doesn't.
What do you say about that?
There's nothing about dressing. We've seen assault of 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds. What form of dressing such a child be having to trigger harassment? We've seen grandmothers at 70 years being sexually assaulted. What dressing did they have that triggered that kind of violence?
Right.
So for us, And what even research has showed us, it's an excuse that people use to justify the kind of violations that they do engage. At one point, as a women's rights organization, we came out clearly to say, my dress, my choice. Our own parliamentarians attempted to come up with a code, a dress code, and it was very difficult. Because what will you tell a lady in Turkana who has to put on, you know, a sort of skirt, a wrapper around her waist, and leave her chest open, one out of culture and out of the, you know, the environment where she's residing. And nobody will harass her. What do you tell her is a reason for violation? Yet everybody in that community is dressed like that.
So it's still a very dicey area. Exactly. In your gaps, what are the loopholes, by the way, in regards to the law and implementation, Naomi, that we're not seeing, you know, being affected today?
First of all, I think most people, employees are not aware that this law exists. That's the first issue. If you know that there's a sexual harassment provisions in the law, then you're more aware of what to do if such an occurrence happens to you.
Right.
And secondly, the law kind of indicates that there need to be a HR policy for a company that has around 20 employees or more. What happens to these other companies that have less than 20? So people are left out. So such gaps make it not mandatory to have a sexual harassment policy. So people are not protected. And then this is not really the fault of the law, it's more on evidence. It's really difficult to prove sexual harassment. Maybe if somebody touched you and no one saw it, how are you going to prove that?
That's true.
Unless maybe you have a text or you have pictures, then you can be able to back up your
so
claim.
Evidence is the issue. Okay, so you don't really have a case, because how will you go and say that, oh, he spoke to me or she spoke to me in a particular way? How will I prove that in court?
So that's the challenge.
That's the challenge. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit more about that, but we're still asking you to actually weigh in on our ongoing discussion. We've been asking you that question: what do you consider as sexual harassment in the workplace? What do you consider as sexual harassment in the workplace? That is our question to you this morning at K24 TV on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Even we have a WhatsApp number right there on your screen. If you prefer to call, we'd love to hear from you and hear your voice this morning. The numbers are going to be at the bottom of your screen, but be sure to keep it K24. There's definitely more to come on sexual harassment in the workplace.